Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Summit of Learning today. We are just thrilled to be here sharing our passion and this welcome for AI for impactful classroom visuals and infographics. Julie and I are here hopefully to just support a really fabulous session for you. You can see on the bottom of the screen here, we have a link, and in a Chrome tab, feel free to enter bit.ly/AI for visuals. And Julie has so kindly dropped that link as well, or take a screenshot. The great thing about these sessions are they are being recorded. They are accessible at everyone's time. And look at that, Julie, you are looking all fancy with the banners today. Well done. We're off to such a good start, and it's like early in the morning here in British Columbia. Not quite as early in Connecticut, I know, but welcome everyone. We're just going to have a lot of fun designing and and taking things from Gemini. And I think that's the big thing today is like we're all kind of experimenting in Gemini, but let's take information and turn it into something tangible and impactful for our students. And I think that's the goal today. Julie, you want to say hello?
Yeah, definitely. All right, so great to see everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. My name is Julie Foss. I'm joining you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. I want to acknowledge that it is the ancestral land of the Mohegan and Narragansett people. And I know we're all joining from a virtual environment, but absolutely want to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we're joining from. I am a consultant, so I get to work with school districts all across the US and Canada, and mostly around AI consulting. So help people sort of build not only just the AI foundation in terms of literacy, but also help them build kind of like a roadmap for the journey that they're on with AI. So great to be with you here. And Emma, take it away.
Julie, it's a pleasure having you today. We're going coast to coast. I'm from Victoria, British Columbia, so I am on the other coast, on the very southern end of Vancouver Island. I am a Logix facilitator. I'm also secretly a designer in the background, making collaterals like the schedule and things today. But I'm also a full-time grade 8 teacher in the front lines, which I love and is a blast. Most times blast. Just a little bit about Logix Academy. We're a team. There's about 100 of us across North America, and we are just love sharing our passions. So feel free to follow us. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're also on Blue Sky. We're on a lot of different things. So be sure to check out the different things that are going on. We, as you can see, we are a partner with a ton of incredible people and programs. We just love doing anything kind of STEM related and creative related. So if you're even curious, info@logixacademy.com. We have anything you could possibly need for your classroom. A little cross section of our robotics, but you can check that out a different day. And before we kind of start, I want to recognize the traditional lands in which I am joining for you from today. And those are the traditional lands of the West Saanich people, so Haishka. I am so fortunate because I have grown up on these lands as a little girl, and I have almost like 270-degree ocean, and they're just stunning Coast Salish lands. But then I went to school in these lands, and now I teach on the same lands. I teach in the very same school district that I went to, and I just think I'm so fortunate to be so connected in a community. So Haishka, thank you. Welcome. A big thank you to Sandy Curry. Without her, we wouldn't be here today. And she's the Generative AI for Educators Project Manager for Google Canada. So thank you, Google Canada, for providing your generous support for today's workshops. And if you are interested in a certificate, like who doesn't like some bragging rights? This is great to show to your admin for Pro D Day. But bit.ly Google AI certificate. All you'll need to do is take note of this session. And this is AI for impactful classroom visuals. You can also see the QR code. But why not get credit for this session? I will be reminding you of this towards the end. But Google is providing you bragging rights certificates for participating in these sessions. Reminder, if you're interested, like say there is another workshop at this time that you're really interested in, All the recordings will be linked to the schedule. So just by registering, you do actually have access to all 9 sessions. So just kind of keep that in mind. Even if you don't have time today to participate in them all, you do have access to them all. A little just heads up, the Student Experiences Workshop today, if you watch it before December 2nd, you will be entered in a draw to win a Chromebook. Google is giving that away to one lucky participant. So make sure to check out that recording when you get a chance. Maybe just put it on a speaker even when you're driving to school. So be sure to check out that for your chance to win a Chromebook. Lastly, we are entering into now, it's typically Computer Science Education Week. Logix has turned it into a month, and it's all free for teachers. So if you are interested in Canva or more AI or Codingville and more things with Google, bit.ly DEC/lessons, all those available, and they are also being recorded. So if you have a pretty strict teaching schedule, there'll be definitely something that can work around for you. Little promo for the things coming up, and I actually designed this slide, so I'm pretty proud of it. We have some great partner workshops you can sign up. So there's Your Voice is Power on December 3rd. There's some great beatbox code coming up December 5th. There's more AI you can see on December 10th. So if you are interested in further learning, there are these workshops available, and you just have to go to logixacademy.com and you can register for any of these. We also have some other ones by Microsoft and their related friends. I particularly love Canva. Actually, Julie and I were just talking about Canva code before we went live. But if you want to know more about that, you can see that there's a workshop on December 12th. But lots of great programming. Like I said, take a little picture with your phone if you want to be reminded of upcoming things. All right, Julie, are you ready? Let's dive in here.
Let's get into it.
I love it. So our plan today is to really explore the power of Gemini to generate ideas, in particular visuals. Sometimes, let's be honest, students sometimes need information presented in different ways to process it. I make a lot of infographics that get laminated and put along my classroom, but all throughout the school, because sometimes maybe if they're not paying attention to me, maybe they're soaking in something around. We are going to, like I said, I think with generative AI, we're at the point where we now need to make tangible items from the information that we're drawing from it. So we're going to make an infographic together. So we're going to use Gemini and Google Slides mainly today. And hopefully today, if all goes well, you might leave with a cool new infographic to use on your classroom wall. And Julie and I were doing a little brainstorm before we started. I think we've narrowed it down, but just know you have full flexibility to pick a topic that's of best fit for you and your students. So I'm curious, we want to do a little temperature check, how you might feel about Google's Gemini. Maybe, Julie, I'll put you on the spot. And decimals are okay, Julie. We're teachers, so decimals.
All right, I think I'm going to go with a 3.75. How's that?
Ooh, you went right to the hundreds place, Julie. Well done.
I do really like Google. I don't know if I'm in love. I have too much information about AI chatbots, I think, at this point to be in love, but but definitely a fan. How about you?
I would say I'm a similar number. I feel I always have, even though I think I'm pretty up in the know, there's always new features launching. So I think I still have a lot of room for growth and exploring. Maybe I'll say I really but Julie and I do dabble in a number of different AIs, and there's really great features of all of them. So it is sometimes hard to pick one at times. Now, you might be thinking, why infographics? So when I say infographics, just nice visual information on your classroom wall. But it just makes sometimes information really digestible for students. And you're going to see us do that today. When you have these little reminders for students, it does really improve their retention. We may not always realize that on the day-to-day, but reinforcing, like I have an infographic on student agency, I have an infographic on student organization. For my students, I really encourage them to do 30 minutes of homework, but homework being like reading, just kind of that routine of homework. It's of organizing their binder, reading for a few minutes, editing and revising a Google Doc. So just really driving home those concepts, but also in hopes of facilitating more student engagement. And actually, where I find these infographics the most helpful is with our parents and our invested community members, because we have these lovely, amazing parents, but sometimes they don't always know maybe the best way to support their students, or they take that face value of like, no, my kid says they don't have any homework. And you're like, well, actually, here's this infographic. Here's 9 suggestions. And I just think it makes for just really strong consistency, between teachers, between students, between parents, and creates this culture of learning, which I think is really important. So I have some inspiration here. And Julie, what I might actually do, I might switch over live, if you don't mind. If you can switch, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I'm going to go live, not live, but like on a different screen here, so you can see me manipulate these things. Just doing a little check. You can see my cursor moving and things.
So am I removing the presentation we have and then adding a different one to the stage?
Just click add to on my screen.
Sorry, it won't allow me to add unless I remove the other one. Sorry, folks. Technology. We gotta learn here. Yeah, we're So, okay, let's see. How about that one? Does that work?
Yeah, can you see me toggling?
Can, yep.
Okay, because I wanted our audience to know that I have linked all these goodies. And these are, to be honest, I've made them all with AI. Now, I'm not opening them all up, but I have kind of my classroom negotiables. I do these at the start of the school year. And this is a presentation, like what does student agency look like? But if you click on any of these images, and I'm going to populate this one for you, all these are linked for you. So this is what, I included the definition of student agency. And these are all things I populate with Gemini, like ask questions, participate, set goals, take notes. Because students, we say these words, but I don't think they actually know the actionable items as much as they should. So I want to let you know in this slide deck today, these non-negotiables are linked on slide 21. My student agency is linked on slide 22. I have this here, and this is not done, and I have a group of kiddos, and they're really lovely, but we've just been really focusing on how to be better versions of ourselves and how to be kinder, more compassionate humans. And it can be really challenging for some students to make those really meaningful connections. So I have how to make a friend. But jumping into slide 25, this is to kind of give you some inspiration for today. And reminder, these are linked. So on slide 25, I have the homework infographic. So like I said, remember, I encourage all my students to hopefully complete 30 minutes of homework today. I don't think that's a huge investment of time. To be honest, they lose way more time on social media. So this is fine, but just, revising a Google Doc, completing a few math questions, organizing your binder, and we send this home for parents. So just a reminder, what you're designing today, and I'll remind you at the end, download it as a PDF, attach it to your email, or you can download it as a JPEG and put it on a website you might have. You have all these. So there is, and I should probably mention these are 8.5 by 11s. So I have done under my file page setup, You can see it's an 8.5 by 11. It's a perfect letter size to hand them out, to print them. You can give them at the start of the year if you sometimes we go on this blips where you're like, maybe students aren't being as accountable as they should. That is in there. The next one I've included for you, and again, just click on the picture. They are all linked. I have, what does quality work look like, right? Using a ruler, editing, utilizing resources and materials, revising, those kind of things. I have this one for my parents, ways to support middle school learners. And if you are a high school teacher or an elementary teacher, feel free. You have my full permissions to make a copy and personalize these any way you want. So just keep in mind, I do all my headings and things in word art. So you will just simply double click on them. But that is a nice one if it's helpful. And my next infographic is, what does solid organization look like? Right? The title, date, nothing is worse, right, than a Google Drive of untitled documents. So there's one on organization. There is one on student agency, and you can see they all follow a similar template. I'm going to show you how to make this today. I just kind of color code them so they're different on the students' eyeballs, but they look really sharp put up in the classroom as well. And one last one, because this is an important topic, one we're talking about in schools, is what does taking care of your mental health look like? And we have this up for kiddos, right? Prioritizing sleep. A lot of our students in front of us don't have proper sleep routines, or aren't getting enough physical activities, and maybe aren't nourishing their body correctly. So again, these are my classrooms. Sometimes we send them home to parents, but how many, Julie, how many was there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are 6 infographics for you. And like I said, they're for you. If they're helpful, please use them.
Those are
now,
great.
Julie, you don't have to be kind to my feelings, but is there one that kind of stood out to you?
I think the mental health one is one that I have not seen in classrooms, but I think having 3 teenagers myself and just the time I spend with kids, I think that's a really important one. So I love that you put that on an infographic.
Yeah, no, thank you, Julie. And also you kind of sparked, a little inspiration is even like making, like, say if you're in a, more of a leadership role in your school, like making self-care ones for your staff too. Sometimes I make like little bingo ones or like little tic-tac-toe ones, because we have to make sure we're filling our own buckets as well at the same time. All right, we are going over to Access Gemini. And Julie, just confirming, you can see me as I toggle between screens?
I can, yep.
Okay, lovely. So this is Gemini, gemini.google.com. You can also access it. Now I have to switch between accounts, but you can also get Gemini, you can see here, through your Waffle. Just be logged in there. I'm under my personal there, but you can also toggle to Gemini that way. We also know Gemini is built into the different applications, but I'm just going to stick with the regular Gemini.com because we could have, some people might have Pro, some people. So this one I know everyone has. Okay. And we can simply prompt our Gemini here. Now I have included, and there's no pressure, but I have included a few suggestions, but you're not limited to it. But we want to think about Gemini generating a bit of a list. So maybe you might want to consider 10 ways of how to be a kind human. Maybe you want to focus on organizational strategies. Maybe you want to help, anxieties on the rise in our classrooms, probably maybe the influence of, digital and notifications all the time, but maybe you want to, tackle some anxiety strategies, maybe ways for students to advocate for learners. So maybe do a little brainstorm of what you might want to do. And we're going to use Gemini to come up with a list, and then we are going to design together. So Julie and I were brainstorming, and I think we're going to go, and Julie can always help me with the prompt, but ways to students to form meaningful connections with each other. Julie, do I kind of have that right?
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's a great one.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to go with today. It's leading into the winter holidays. Sometimes at this point, maybe students still haven't maybe gotten to know someone in their class. So we want to work on just facilitating maybe deeper, more positive, supportive connections between students. So I'd like you to toggle over to your Gemini, and I might say, what are 10 ways to help, maybe to encourage students to make more meaningful connections with each other? Okay, so we know in a Gemini, we could also, if you have a specific grade, we can put that in there. And don't be afraid to adjust your prompt if you want slightly different things. Now, I want to remind you, with Gemini, every time you do it, it can change. So I'm doing this prompt today, but if you did this exact same prompt tomorrow, you could get slightly different information. So if you love the information that it comes up with, copy and paste it over to a Google Doc. It does kind of save your history a little bit, but if you just love the information, make sure you maybe have a way that you can save it. I might add, which that would be a good fit for grade 8 students. So, all right, that works for me. I'm going to hit there. And just disclaimer, I know Julie agrees. Anytime, oh, look at that. So it says collaborative challenges. Okay. Get to know you interviews.
Emma, can you make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, how's that? That probably looks
perfect. Good. Yeah, my old lady eyes. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So this is really good. I like this. So group serving learning projects. I like these, but I think like students, I don't know if, this is more like strategies. Which is good, but I find these are more like on a teacher end of different things. So I might adjust this because you want to make it fit your infographic. I'm going to maybe simplify a little bit. What are 10 ways for grade 8 students to ensure that they are being kind to one another? I'm just going to kind of toggle it a little bit. I love how Gemini can kind of effortlessly 10 ways to ensure peer kindness. Oh, you know what, Julie, I am digging this. You know what? I think I'm going to use this for our infographic today. Practice active listening. Like that is huge. I feel my grade 8s aren't always, they ask questions, but they're not always good listeners. Standing up, like that's really hard to do in grade 8 sometimes, is to, maybe have ideas that are outside the norm of a particular group. Share compliments, intentional inclusion, like, hey, come sit with me. Ooh, this is perfect. So hopefully you are able to generate a list of some things. And I think we're ready to go ahead and make our infographic. Now, I want to remind Google Slides. You can open it through your Waffle. You can open it through your Drive. You can simply just go slides.new. We will be setting up an 8.5 by 11. I'm going to do this live, but I just want to show you that these instructions are in this slide deck that you can refer to. So our design plan is to just simply open up a new Google Slide presentation. We are going to set our custom page setup to an 8.5 by 11. That will give us portrait. If you are wanting landscape this way, it will be just simply reversed 11 by 8.5. We're going to add a catchy title, and then we're going to pull out those kind of highlights from Gemini to make something for our classroom. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go to new. I'm going to open a Google slide, and Julie, just relay if there's any questions or things from the chat, or even if you're like, oh, Emma, can you try this?
Okay, sounds good.
We're going to call this our, and because remember, we don't want untitled documents. They're bad for business. So I'm going to call this my peer kindness infographic. And to be honest, I will be showing this to my students on Monday. And to do your custom page setup is File, Page Setup. It's near the bottom. So depending on your screen, you might need to scroll down a little bit. So Page Setup. The 16:9 ratio is the default for Google for presentation, but we want to go to custom. Again, I'm dropping here. We're going to custom, and I would like an 8.5 by 11. If you're one of my Canadian friends, it might say centimeters here. So toggle over to inches before you do your dimensions, or you'll see that it adjusts it a little bit. So an 8.5 by 11. Look at us. We're doing great. And I don't like these text boxes, to be honest. I like to start with a fresh canvas. I am kind of a designer at heart. So a couple ways you can go layout blank to get your fresh canvas, or just simply like old school, like drag, delete, right? You can click on them and hit delete. The only thing is, if you like click there as if to like go to type and hit backspace, it's not going to work. You have to be kind of on this cursor, not the typing cursor, in order to delete. So just a little design lesson for you.
It's one of the things I love about Google is there's always more than one way to do the same thing. It just makes it so easy to use. Yeah.
Yeah. And just because I might do something one way, like if you have your own way, and it's also your own infographic. So I always like to call it, like, you have creative freedoms here. You can use whatever fonts, whatever colors. Yes, it is your design. And I tell this to students all the time when, because I teach a design class, like, make it your own design. But if you really like my fonts, that's fine too. You can use the fonts that I'll be using today. I always like to start with a background color. And I can be a little bit picky about colors. I'm not going to lie. I live on kind of this left side. On the right side, and it doesn't matter if it's blue, they're like really, really vibrant colors. That's not a horrible thing, but you want to have kind of a softer thing on your students' eyes. So I tend to live more on the left side, or if you're directly in the Google palette, kind of this, I call this design death, this one with like the cyan and the green. They're not horrible colors, just they're going to be a little too vibrant for an infographic, but directly underneath, like those softer colors are wonderful. So nothing wrong with the Google palette. You pick what other colors. So I have kind of a nice background color. This looks really good. I like to do all my headers in word art, and we're doing pure kindness. So I might start off with what does, and I'm going to format all these things, but I want to just kind of get my text in there. You can hit Control D. What does pure kindness? That's going to be my next one. And you're like, going to be like, Emma, this is not pretty. But that's okay. I'm going to make it pretty for you. So what does pure kindness look like? I'm going to take the top, because if you go to one of my examples, this is kind of what I'm going here. So my top, this is a font called Sacramento. This main one, if you want the same, is called Big Shoulder. So I'm going to follow that flow just so my infographics look consistent. And let's maybe get some colors. So something that looks really good is going to the color that you already did, but go darker or lighter. So I'm going to go down and do a darker. And let's go grab that Sacramento font. Oh, look at that. It was already in there for me. So what does, and let's go pure kindness. We'll go with that big shoulder. Big shoulder, and we're going to go bold. There we go. And I'm just doing some little designing. What does pure kindness? Oh yeah, I want that bold. And actually, I'm going to go even darker on this color. We want some contrast in there. What does pure kindness? And you know what? I'm going to cheat and just duplicate. Look, this one. Look like, boom. Look at that. I think that's looking pretty good. Very Julie, nice. What do you think?
Love it.
So What does pure kindness look like? And I'm just going to go back to one of my examples. There you go. You can see I tossed like a rectangle behind it. Sorry, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. Shapes are wonderful. We are going to use shapes, but if you're like, Emma, I want that too. It's just a little rectangle, and I'm going to make it white for contrast. But you'll notice it's above, so little design thing, right click, order, send to back, boom. Oh, yes. Look at that. We are cooking here. I feel like my design mojo is really warming up here. What does pure kindness look like? Right. So now I like to do 9 strategies. And actually, I'll start this way so it makes more sense. I'm going to insert a rectangle again. And this is one of the amazing design features that I love about Google that maybe doesn't exist quite the same way in other design programs. Control D is my best friend. It is the duplication power. If you're on a Mac, it is Command D, but Control D to duplicate. It works in Canva. It works in Microsoft. It's kind of like a universal thing. But watch this. Control D. Boom. I have another box. And those red alignment tools are helping me out, making sure. So again, Control D. If that comes up, it means I didn't click on an item. So Control D, and I have 3 boxes. So you're going to pick how many strategies. I'm going to be ambitious and go with 9. But watch this. I can click all those, or if you hold down Shift, you can select those. But let's now hit Control D. Whoop, we have 3 more. Great. Line them up. Control D, 3 more. I now have my boxes. You can see I didn't line up those ones very well, but look at that. Nice. And the great thing about Google, again, that isn't quite, if I click and drag to get all these boxes, I can manipulate them. I can make them a little bit bigger this way. I can make them this way. Look at that. So I am ready for my strategies. Now, the last thing I'm going to do really quickly is just number them. So I'm going to go ahead and get a circle. A little design tip, actually, if you hold down Shift while you're making a circle, it will make it perfectly round. So, whoop, look at that. Perfectly round. And we want to stay with the color scheme. You'll notice any infographic that I do, I kind of do the same colors. Like I don't mix reds and blues. It just makes it a little too busy for the eyeballs. And the great part about shapes is we can add our text directly in them. You don't need to add a text box. And that's why I love shapes. They are the go-to. And if you're designing in Canva, a lot of the shapes you can type directly into. It depends on the shape you use. But you can see I now have a number 1 there. Now, work smarter, not harder. Control D. And we're going to drag this over, and I'm going to kind of align it, and I can click right in my shape and get my cursor. I'm going to make that a 2. And then guess what? Control D. Drag this over. The red tells me that I'm in line, and this will be my 3. And same thing, I'm going to pull this up a little bit. You can pull your title up if it. Now, if I hit Shift or hold down Shift, I can take these and duplicate and pull them down. And I'm just using my arrow keys here. And I think those are in line. Control D again.
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
So do you have to layer it, or could you have done that first layer with the boxes and the circles and then done the Control D and created that?
Yes, you could just have fully designed your first box.
Okay.
And then duplicate. But why I do it in my particular order is I sometimes like to manipulate the boxes and make sure I have them the perfect shape. Gotcha. Because what happens if I just do that first one and I need to adjust the box, it just makes it a little bit more finicky for me to adjust, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah. So now I have my I hit delete. I now have my 9 boxes ready to go. And And I think this looks pretty sharp. And if you're like, Emma, I really want that, I will copy it. I'll drop it in the chat before the end where anyone can view. You'll just need to make a copy. Please do not be like, Emma, I want edit access. I will not give edit access because I want to use it. But I will make sure this goes in the chat before the end of the session. Now let's go back to our Gemini. So our first thing to ensure peer kindness was practice active listening and empathy. Like, Gemini, I could not have said that better. I'm actually just going to copy it right there. I'm going to go over. We know we can type directly in our shapes. Boom. It's in there. All right. Now I'm going to go back to Gemini. What was my next one? Stand up for others and be an ally. Love it, right? Anytime we're using content for Gemini, we are going to double check and make sure that's in line with what we feel. Share specific and genuine compliments. Absolutely. Oh, look at that. I'm already at 3. And I'm actually saying you don't have to take those emojis with you, but I have to be honest, I'm really liking them. Intentional inclusion, seat at the table. So this emoji didn't come up, but that's okay. And, I might teach this, like I will. I would go over. So when I do these infographics with students, I'll talk to them. Use the think filter before speaking or posting. Yes. Is it true? Is it helpful? Like, whew, more people in the world. Please do this. What's number 6? Offer help without being asked. Oh, I have a 5-year-old human. I'd love for him. And he does do this, but isn't that the thing? Like, offer help without being asked. Practice forgiveness and move on. Like, Gemini, you are rocking my world here. Sometimes I kind of adjust that. Respect personal space and boundaries. Yes. Don't touch things that aren't yours. Like, how many times do we say that as a teacher? Now, I have 9 things. So, Julie, do we want to go give the benefit of the doubt or write positive shout outs? What do we want to do here?
So I love the idea of saying, give the benefit of the doubt, and then asking, like, as you mentioned, sort of, how do you take this pretty piece of paper and turn it into actual practice in your classroom, and talking through, like, what other ideas could the students have, and what does it look like for each of these to actually be practiced in the classroom? Yeah. I think that's fantastic.
Totally. So this is just kind of cover what font. This is Arial. Arial is the default of Google. I'm a bit of a font snob, so I don't know if I'm going to stick with Arial, but watch this. If I hold down Shift and I select my boxes, I think I have all 9 selected. I can then instantaneously make them the same font that I use. And I might say, okay, I'm going to make them a little bit bigger because we want students to be able to read them. And then the other thing I might do is just so the emojis are on the same spot for all of them. I'm just hitting enter and like bumping them down a line. I love that dove for peace. Huge. So you know what? This is pretty good. Maybe I'll put it back up there because it's kind of cutting out there and be an ally. But Julie, I'm pretty proud of us. Like,
I love it.
Look at, so we have made an infographic, not super labor intensive. All we did was add some titles. We added some boxes and we used Gemini to like just populate. And I would kind of do a little bit of tweaking here just because like this, maybe I want to just pull that out just because I don't want it tucked under my number. Or you might decide that you don't want the emojis. You want to maybe put something else. So I'll kind of take them out for right now. But now you have, I'm going to maybe leave the 100 at the end just to like really emphasize that one. But now we have an infographic. Like this is going to kickstart my lesson with my students on Monday because they need these strategies. Like, what does it actually mean to be kind to your peers? All right. Now, I maybe will give you just a couple minutes here. I want you to just, and it doesn't have to be fully complete. Hopefully, maybe you were kind of working on it a little bit. You remember this is also recording, so you can pause and do it. I just want to give you kind of a minute to make sure you've had a chance to, maybe set up some fundamental things of your template, but also to generate your list in Gemini. And while maybe you're working, I'm going to give some more inspiration because I make these infographics a lot. Maybe it's reading strategies. Maybe it's mental health, right? And you have access to all my infographics. If you're also like, Emma, I really don't feel like making a template, you could just make a copy of one of those infographics I've already provided you and just change the titles and change the text, and just know that is fully okay as well.
Okay, so I came up on a question. I was working on mine, and I got everything, the custom and the background and everything like that. When you inserted your title, was that a shape or did you insert a title box?
I did word art. Insert word
art. That's what it was. Okay,
yeah,
great.
And my handwriting font, and Julie, no pressure to use my same fonts, but people tend to like to know my handwriting font that I love is Sacramento.
Okay.
And my header font was Big Shoulder Display.
Okay, great.
And actually, Julie, you've kind of prompted someone might be saying like, Emma, I don't have that font. If that's the case, just reminding you at the top, and I've gone back here, just hit more fonts. And you can, oh look, Google's updated this. This looks slightly different now. But you can search by popularity. But you can, anything in blue, anything checked off you have. Now, this is a Google, this has probably just been launched within the last day or two. Typically, the whole font would be blue if you had it. Now it's a checkbox.
Very cool.
It's looking a little bit different. So you can even search up here. So if you don't have either of those fonts, I think Big Shoulder Display is a default Google font, if I remember correctly, but Sacramento most likely is not.
Great. Awesome. Appreciate the time to play a little bit, because it always, you think as you're following along, oh yeah, I can totally do that. But when you actually go to do it yourself, it's nice to have that time to be able to come back and ask questions.
Yeah, and just like, make sure you can add a shape on there, make sure you can add a title, try just even copying over one aspect of your Gemini. And it doesn't even have to be 9. Like, you could even make just like one box and put a list in it as well. Like, it is yours to design any way you like. Julie, what are you going with pure kindness today, or did you make a different topic?
So I was actually doing something that a project I'm working on for someone else, which is just steps to AI governance. So yeah, so it's a little bit different topic, but I really appreciate being able to make it visible. I think that's such a cool way to do it.
And what a good fit. Like, I made a similar one, like AI guidelines for students, right? Like, you can have, I'm going to kind of go over here. Let's just populate what, I always say please in AI, but you don't need to. Please generate a list of 10 AI guidelines for students for an English 8 class. Right? Maybe this is your next guideline. Here are 10 AI guidelines. Honesty and disclosure. Original thought is non-negotiable. Like, look at this. It must be at least 80%. To be honest, this is going to be my next infographic, because I was doing some marking last night and there was some work that was not 80% their own. AI as a tutor, not a ghostwriter. Ooh, I'm going to save this. This is going to be my next infographic is those AI guidelines. Like, these are, fact checking is your responsibility, right? Like, don't just take AI things as face value. Like, take the time.
Yeah, and to that point, I was actually wondering, should we put a disclosure statement on our infographic if we got the ideas from Gemini? What do you think?
Yes, and I actually do this. I was telling Julie I've been kind of using AI. I put things like this made with the assistance of Gemini, right? I make a little thing and I would just probably get, a little font like this, and I shrink it down. And I actually do this because in some of my social studies classes, I've made like some informational text. I'm going to zoom in, by the way, here. I put little notes like this, and Julie, thanks for reminding me, but I'll maybe put this right down in the bottom. I'm looking for that there we go. See that red line, center alignment. And look at that, made with the assistance of Gemini. So fully transparent, and students know, but I think it's good modeling. I like that. Thanks for reminding.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on because I want to show you, maybe a couple other things that you can do. But I want to remind you with your infographic, you can print directly from Google Slides to your printer. If you are fortunate enough to have color copying in your school, just send it right there and you can laminate it. You can download it as a PDF. So if I go back here, file, download as a PDF. So PDF is where formatting goes to die, but not in a bad way. But that locks it in, so it's really easy for your parents to read. So as a PDF, I would attach it to an email, or I can upload it to my favorite printing place. Or you can download it as a JPEG. And I'm going to toggle over here to my teacher website. So I'm going to my Google site really quickly. You can see what my students have for homework. But I'm going to just show you here. I download them as JPEGs. Boom! And so every day, well, hopefully it's every day when they're checking for their homework, I'm giving these constant reminders. Now, do they always read it? Probably not. But you can also see that I have this is my 30 minutes. Like I'm constantly driving home those concepts for students. So I have them built into my homework website as well. Da-da-da! So I think I've linked to my website, but don't be afraid to put them as JPEGs and put them in different locations. Now, I want to go back to Gemini, and I wanted to show you something else that, to be honest, I'm a little obsessed with. And this is a newer feature. I don't know roughly how long, maybe like a month or two, I'd say it's been out. And in Gemini, there is a storyboard gem. So, and what this storybook does is with a prompt, it makes you a storybook. It's honestly that simple. So let's go over to Gemini. And do you see on the left here where it says Explore Gems? And Storybook comes up. You can show more. It also is like, look at this. You can play, there's a chess one. You can make like Women's World Cup. There's lots of these new gems that are built in. And this is even for free Gemini. Like you don't have to be on the Pro to have these. You can see here, it says upgrade. I do not have the Pro Gemini. But look at this. Let's click on Storybook. And you can make a prompt. So this might be, and maybe you have a daily storybook. It promotes literacy, but also kind of drives home social emotional learning. So I'm just going to prompt it. Please generate a story for a group of grade 8 students who are working on being kinder to one another. And you could describe if you wanted like specific characters, if you wanted to like integrate the school mascot, like you can add all those details and it'll do it. I'm just going to do a really simple prompt for today. Please generate a story for a group of grade 8 students who are working on being kind to one another. I'm just going to say in the classroom. All right. And you can just see that it is populating. It is writing my first draft. It only takes a minute or two. But one thing that I love is you can send the link once it's created to anyone, and they don't have to be like logged into their Gemini. They don't even need to know how to get to Gemini. You can just send this link through email. You can link it to a website. You can link it to a Google slide. So I could even link this storybook, like maybe even to my header in my infographic, and connect this into my lesson as well. So you can see it says now that it's finalizing illustrations. And Julie, remind me, is this your first time seeing Storybook?
It is. And so forgive the question, but I'm wondering, could you upload the infographic you just did, and would it use the scenarios or the strategies that you put in your infographic within its story?
Yes, you can include content. Now, I haven't tried that yet, but yes, you totally could include content from a Google slide or from a Google Doc or from a website. Now, look at this. The texture mapping project. And so we can full screen it. And look, you can even listen to it, and it's going to read the story. Like, you don't even have to read it out. So let's go full screen. Da, da, da. And let's do a little scan. Zola liked grade 8 English class because it was predictable. Same worn desk, same smell of old paper, same Miss Anya talking about metaphors. But one Tuesday, the routine shattered. A girl named Ilara walked in carrying a worn sketchbook, looking ahead, nervous. So it will have a point about kindness and being kind to one another. But look at this storybook. Da, da, da. It's 10 pages. Now you can choose to listen. Just going to click it. It's
We don't hear the audio. Do you hear it?
Oh, probably because I need to share a tab with audio, but just know it's reading and it's great. You can download the storybook, and you can even hit share. And I don't put it in these social media places, but I copy the link. I can copy the link, and I could even come back here and just secretly link it to my title. So I've like linked it right here, so I can like do all these talking points for my students, and then be like, boom, here's a storybook. And it's going to load it up, and we can do that. So now I already have like a really great built-in lesson, but those storybooks are just wonderful. So I want to show you again like where I got there. So I'm in Gemini, and then it's just here where it says explore gems. You can see these are the other prompts that I've previously done in Storybook. So explore gems, click on Storybook. All you have to do is do a prompt. And I did one the other day for my kiddo who's 5, he's in kindergarten, about like morning routines. Maybe it's things in organization. Like, you can really drive home other like key learning to students, but in a totally different way.
That's amazing. Are they in multiple languages? Do you know?
Ooh, good question. I believe they can be translated. I have to be honest, I haven't played around with it enough I haven't translated it myself. But I believe, because in Google you can set your languages.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you switch the language of your just like Google settings, it would be in a different language.
That's awesome. These are so cool. I mean, I think about students who are emerging learners, but who are older, and how challenging it is to find reading materials that don't seem too young, So I love the idea of being able to create the stories for that. And then, like you said, the social stories, if you could do languages, that would be amazing. I mean, just so many great applications. Very cool.
Yeah, and just built it in, like maybe you create a little classroom library where that's what you want them for homework. Like maybe you want them to read that story with their families and different things. Students could make their own stories as well. Mm-hmm. And you can certainly adjust your prompting and explore that as well. But I just wanted to show you that as another kind of visual for your classroom, because I just discovered it a couple weeks ago. And I love it. I think it's really cool. So maybe I'll give you a minute right now to just make sure you can get to that Gemini, you can find the storybook, try putting in a little prompt, and then we're going to have to come back and maybe close. We have some closing remarks for our session today. I can hear Julie like typing. Julie, it's your storybook coming to life.
It's getting there. Yeah, I was trying to think, but there's so many things. It's kind of, okay, I'm doing a social story for students welcoming a new student to their school.
Oh, I love that. For welcoming, because sometimes, we get the kiddos partway through a year. You could do a little story before, the day before they show up.
Yeah, and somebody who's like language and customs are different. I'm new to them.
And you could, if you wanted, like integrate specific, if there was like a specific culture, like you can go back and adjust your prompt at any time as well, which I love. Oh, cool. Great job, everyone. And so is it just loading your story now?
It is, yeah. But I bet there are lots of good ideas out there. I would love to just see what the brainstorm chat looks like.
I know the possibilities are endless. So hopefully you've had a chance to try out Storybook. It is a game changer. It's built into Gemini as well. Now, before you leave today, I wanted to leave you with a few more goodies. Guess what? Another infographic. But this one's 11 by 14. This is just daily mindfulness activities. So again, the infographics are all linked to the picture. So here's another one for your classroom if you'd like it. Mindfulness is something we're working on, right? Just being appreciative, taking in those little things of life. Email etiquette. I teach grade 8 students, and so I'm encouraging them, instead of their parents to email me, for them to start emailing me. So I talk about email etiquette. Maybe you want this for your staff because no one likes to reply all. So again, these are all linked in there. Feel free to make a copy and adjust it. But yeah, if you do want to tweak it, you do need to make your own copy, but you have my full permissions to personalize it. Lastly, before we leave, Julie and I leave you today, we do want to remind you of keep going with your AI learning journey. There is so many classroom workshops where we will teach your class for you. Yeah, you heard me correctly. It's free and we will teach your class for you. So Logix Academy, Pages Hour of AI 2025. Trust me, I've been making the social media posts for all these things. There is something for everyone. Be sure to check out the programming. And lastly, we want to give you credit for participating in learning with Julie and I today. Scan this QR code or bit.ly Google-AI-certificate. This session title is AI for Impactful Classroom Visuals. And you will get your own certificate. So this is great to kind of just keep on record. Even share with parents that you are doing your own AI learning journey. I think it's great to have. So be sure to claim your certificate for today. Julie, is there any final questions or things from today?
I don't know. I think that was really thorough. I kind of want to just play now. So I learned so much. Thank you.
That's the thing. I've launched everyone down not only a kind of a Gemini rabbit hole, but a design rabbit hole, which are, to be honest, like my two favorite things that I love so much. Just thank you all for joining today. Logixacademy.com if you want to have just further learning or further workshops. And if you have a moment, your feedback is always appreciative so we can continue just to provide you the best workshops that we can. And to make sure that you have your link to today's bit.ly AI for visuals.
Amazing. All right. Well, thanks so much, Emma.
Thank you all for joining. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.